Buyers looking to make a seamless shift to all-electric power could well find the BMW iX3 an appealing option. The battery-powered midsize SUV offers typically solid BMW build quality, superb on-board tech, and decent ride comfort, while keen drivers will be pleased to hear that the iX3's rear-wheel drive setup trades 4x4 skills for a little more agility and fun on the road. With plenty of interior space, a usable rear-wheel range, and decent rapid charging capabilities, the iX3 should be able to deal with the rigors of family life with ease, although it does look rather plain next to more stylish rivals such as the Mercedes EQC, the Audi Q4 e-tron, or the Jaguar I-Pace, many of which can go substantially further on a single charge. Let's have a closer look. Differences between the BMW iX3 and the BMW X3 are even harder to spot inside than outside. In fact, were it not for the blue starter button and a few more blue accents, you would never guess you weren't behind the wheel of the regular model. BMW has ensured the iX3 feels suitably premium inside with high quality materials and strong build quality, very much like the regular X3. True, the interior perhaps isn't quite as glamorous as in the Audi e-tron or Mercedes EQC, but it feels really well put together and has lots of dents. Squishy materials in most of the important places. Only a couple of patches of hard scratchy plastic around the starter bottom, for example, let the side down a little. The doors can be held open in 3 positions at the front and only 2 at the rear, but unfortunately the holding power of the door brakes is quite weak, so they do not always keep the door securely on position. There is plenty of space in the front row. People over 195 meters tall can sit in the driver's seat. There is enough legroom and the headroom would even easily accommodate significantly larger occupants. The inside width is just as pleasant as the feeling of space, which due to the rather massive center console and the dark headliner, which is an option, is somewhat narrowed by this standard panoramic sunroof, which actually is giving to the cabin light and making it feel airy. And the large window areas are also helping this feeling in the cabin. Beside the standard panoramic roof, there is also a 3-zone climate control, heated front seats and an automatic tailgate, which they do add to the comfort and practicality. The seat height, 58 cm above the road, in the lower sitting position allows the front passengers a comfortable entry and exit, but the high door sill, it does making it hard actually. The X3 comes standard with fully leather sports seats. They are electrically adjustable. On the driver's side has memory settings for 2 drivers. The 4-way adjustable lumbar support are also always on board. On the front, there are of course enough deposits for the things we carry for our daily needs. There are large door compartments who can get large bottles, and in the middle console there are 2 large cup holders, a nice and deep storage for a smartphone, and a deep storage compartment in the center armrest with illuminated USB ports inside. As well, an additional small compartment on the left at the bottom of the dashboard. The glove compartment, it's not particularly big, but it is lockable and lined with felt. The ambient lines on the door panels are customized and they do look great. The iX3 is one of the last BMWs to use its more traditional infotainment setup, featuring 2 separate screens plus tactile buttons for the climate control and other main functions. The very first iX3s featured a 10.25-inch central touchscreen, but thanks to the latest facelift, every model now is fitted with a larger 12.3-inch display paired with digital driver's display. The graphics are typically sharp, with few rivals managing to compete with the German brand's mix of usability, a logical interface, and fast loading speeds. BMW offers the choice of touchscreen or physical inputs through its iDrive controller, which is a smart decision. The former is great to use at a standstill, where entering addresses is quick and easy, and the click wheel is great for small tweaks on the move. The BMW's digital dials are also clear and easy to read, even though the design is a little fuzzy. They do at least have plenty of customization for the driver, including positioning the mapping between the speedometer and power reserve gauge. The iX3 has a very extensive connectivity and multimedia equipment as standard. Radio, Bluetooth and USB interfaces are always included, including the professional navigation system with real-time traffic information. The infotainment system includes an integrated SIM card and is therefore always online. The diverse possibilities of the online-based BMW services, such as remote control or the individually bookable vehicle apps such as Microsoft Office or Twitter after logging into Connected Drive Discover Store. The remote and connected iDrive services are for the first 3 years included. Then someone has to pay for this service extra. Only the electrical specific query and control options are free of charge for a longer period of time. Apple CarPlay for integration of iPhones and Android Auto will become permanently supported. The connection is possible wirelessly. Very impressive is in the tested equipment variant the Harman Kardon surround sound system with 16 speakers and 600 watts amplifier power, and the inductive charging option for smartphone series. With the BMW apps function, the X3 allows you to use many compatible apps via control Bluetooth connected iPhones via iDrive. This represents in practice an alternative to Apple CarPlay and Android Car, as you can use music streaming services, smartphone functions, or even use apps by car. The iX3 comes with 3-zone automatic climate control as standard. As is usual with most electric cars, there is also one parking air conditioning possible, either via pre-programming or via the BMW app. A window fogging sensor and an air quality sensor ensure a pleasant climate experience. They are the clocks for the automatic recirculation control. The temperatures and air distribution can be adjusted separately. Standard on board are the front seat heating and the steering wheel heating, but there is no rear or seat ventilation in general. Also, the sending and ionization function is in the Electro X3 not available. Due to the immense range of functions, the menu structure requires a certain amount of training and learning, and it takes some time to get used to the BMW operating concept. BMW models can be controlled surprisingly intuitively. The main menu can be changed according to your own preferences, and in addition, for many functions operation via voice commands is also possible, whereby on the initialization command "Hey BMW" in relatively easy language, your wish can be expressed and you no longer have to formulate exactly one command for one function. What's also striking is how quickly this happens. The overall good ergonomics are due, among other things, to the appropriate arrangement of the steering wheel, pedals, and the selector level to each other. Also, the positioning of the buttons and switches, their grouping according to functions such as air conditioning and other vehicle functions, the complete lighting of the controls, including the adjustment wheels of the ventilation nozzles, contribute to this. All control units are installed high enough and within easy reach. Classic analog instruments are no longer available. The Electro X3 has a 12.3-inch live cockpit professional, as they call it, color display as standard. BMW only leaves things manageable here. Options for personalizing the ad there, such as display, offers far more possibilities. There may be more options in the future. The readability is perfect and easy to read both day and night, but the analog display of the speedometer is rather confusing. The all-around visibility is satisfactory thanks to the large glass surfaces. Nevertheless, the wide D-pillars in conjunction with the rear seat's headrests that are not fully retractable severely restrict the view to the rear. While the driver can still estimate the rear of the SUV, the front edge is hidden from his view. After all, factory parking sensors at the front help with maneuvering, as well the rear view camera or the all-around view cameras, which in the tested trim level are included. Playing children cannot be seen due to the high rear, and it is very difficult to perceive reversing, which is why rear view cameras are a useful feature. Switching from forward to reversing is quick. The operation works just as well as with the other X3 variants via one ergonomically positioned lever on the center console. In level D, there is one low braking effect increased in lever B. For the so-called one-pedal driving is also the higher one, recuperation level is too weak. The iX3 also offers one dynamic recuperation performance depending on the road course, permitted speeds, and other road users. The tuning went well, so that the use of the brake pedal is rarely necessary. The electric handbrake with auto hold function is standard. In the X3, there is almost everything in terms of assistance and security systems what BMW is currently has available. Everything comes in standard, even the head-up display. The EV brakes automatically if it sees an impending collision with people or vehicles, and the driver on the previous warnings does not respond. The adaptive speed control, including a limiter, which is always on board. The front cameras recognize the currently valid speed limit, which then applies to the cruise control, which can be adapted. Also, no entry signs and overtaking bans, as well as temporary or wet restrictions. The car shows the driver also restrictions. If approaching to a stop or yield sign and the driver shows no response, the driver will also be informed of this. The BMW recognizes the lanes and, depending on the setting, warns a vibrating steering wheel before leaving the lane, or that the car steers itself and follows the lane markings. If you want to change lanes, it warns you. BMW in front of vehicles in the next lane and steers if necessary, even go back to the original track. The necessary sensors in the rear of the vehicle are also included, used to avoid crossing traffic when reversing out of a parking space. Warn if a rear-end collision is imminent. Crossing traffic will also detect it in front of the car. You have to dodge, and that auto detects enough space for this, supported by the iX3 during steering maneuvers. The head-up display mentioned at the beginning looks opulent here. Detailed navigation maps can also be provided upon request displayed. In the event of emergency braking, the flash brake lights come on at a rapid frequency to ensure to warn following traffic. The vehicle comes to a standstill if the hazard warning lights are automatically activated. The iX3 has a direct measuring tire pressure monitoring system, a standard, that monitors air pressures selectively.
Hey BMW.
Hallo,
Mach die Heizung an.
könntest du das wiederholen?
Mach die Heizung an.
Bitte probier es noch einmal oder sag Hilfe.
Hilfe.
Bitte wähl eine Kategorie, zum Beispiel Navigation, um eine Auswahl verfügbarer Kommandos anzeigen zu lassen.
Mein Fahrzeug.
Hier einige Kommandos zu Mein Fahrzeug, die ich verstehe. Soll ich sie vorlesen?
Ja.
Um den Reifendruck zu erfragen, sag passt der Reifendruck noch? Um die Betriebsanleitung zu öffnen, sag Betriebsanleitung öffnen.
Betriebsanleitung öffnen.
Könntest du es noch einmal versuchen?
Heizung.
Bitte wiederhole deine Eingabe oder sag Hilfe.
Hilfe.
Bitte wähl eine Kategorie, zum Beispiel Navigation, um eine Auswahl verfügbarer Kommandos anzeigen zu lassen.
Navigation.
Hier einige Kommandos zur Navigation, die ich verstehe. Soll ich sie vorlesen?
Nein, danke.
Here we see the compromises of not using a specialist EV platform. The iX3 isn't all that big in the back, which is the same trouble the Mercedes EQC has. But actually it's good news in the rear too, because despite the fact that a big battery has in effect been shoehorned under the floor, there is as much space in the iX3 as in the regular BMW X3. That means two tall people can sit quite comfortably in the back of the car with leg and headroom to spare. You can recline the outer rear seats to give a more laid-back sitting position, a feature that isn't available in the iX3's direct rivals. But the rear middle seat is uncomfortable and is therefore only suitable for short distances. If it's still not quite large enough for you, the Audi e-tron and Jaguar I-Pace with both offer your rear seat passengers even more room. The BMW has door compartments at the back with large bottle holders and cup holders in the center armrest to offer, and it offers also this armrest great versatility. There are only storage nets behind the front seats and no closed backrest pockets. Of course, for the back passengers are USB ports available for charging and also vent controls. The electric tailgate reveals a boot area which is identical to the X3's, which actually means that it's slightly smaller than the e-trons but bigger than the one in the Mercedes EQC. The iX3 loses a bit of underfloor storage compared with the X3, but there's still room for the charging cable. You get 40-20-40 split folding rear seats as standard. The boot is practical, square shape, with very good access and no loading lip, making it easy to lug heavy items in and out. You will find hooks, nets, and a 12-volt socket, decent underfloor storage to help keep items in place. With no option of sliding rear bench, you can increase the boot size without reducing the seating capacity. The rear seats can be attached either to the backrest or from the trunk, unlock and fall over automatically when spring-loaded. The rail system is not more available in the electric version, nor is that retaining straps for the side compartments and a second back hook. The electric motor on the rear axle delivers 286 horsepower and 400 Nm of torque. In the test, the iX3 managed a sprint from 0 to 100 in 6.8 seconds. For comparison, the 252 horsepower X3 X-Drive with a 2-liter gasoline engine needed 6.5 seconds. The electric motor pulls strongly and accelerates the iX3 quickly, but not overconfidently. What is striking is how finally the power can be dosed. The engine reacts sensitively to the throttle. And that also applies to the well-functioning recuperation, which can be adjusted in 4 stages. With a little practice, you can drive smoothly, let's say, with just one pedal. This works particularly well in the city, where the iX3 zips smoothly through traffic with its quick response. On country roads, it is manageable, but not as agile as the well-known crisp X3. This is prevented by the high weight of 2.2 tons and the steering, which is unusually light for BMW standards. Driving on the highway significantly reduces the range. On the highway, the range melts away like residual snow in the spring sun. The iX3 swims along easily up to around 160 km, but above that it seems increasingly tense. The speed is limited to 100 km in any way. BMW specifies a range of 458 km for the 80 kWh battery. In the test, the iX3 covered 306 km with a consumption of 24.1 kWh per 100 km. It can be charged with up to 11 kWh alternating current and up to 150 kW direct current. Let's take the iX3 for a ride to see how it behaves. If you are expecting the BMW iX3 to deliver Tesla-like performance, you will be mildly disappointed. It's plenty quick enough. 0 to 100 takes 6.7 seconds, but acceleration is strong rather than especially thrilling. However, if you switch to sport mode in the range-topping M Sport, you do get an airy electronic soundtrack dreamed up by German film score composer Hans Zimmer. When you put your floor down, the noise gets louder and the pitch rises as your speed increases, just like it would if there was a petrol engine under the bonnet. Depending on how you drive, the iX3 will officially cover 458 km between charges, beating both the Audi e-tron, which makes 400 km, and the Mercedes EQC, also about 400 km. Granted, you'll have to be extremely gently and wait for warm weather to match any of those numbers, but 350 km should be easily achievable in proper conditions. In our winter range test, with cold weather and the cabin temperature set to toasty 22 degrees Celsius, the iX3 managed to cover 340 km on a single charge. That's about the same as the Jaguar I-Pace, based on indicated energy consumption and the usable capacity of its battery pack. Unlike its four-wheel drive rivals, the e-tron, I-Pace and EQC, the iX3 is only available with rear-wheel drive. That shouldn't be a concern unless you regularly get snow or live down a muddy track, because it has plenty of traction whether it's wet or dry. While the Tesla Model 3 performance feels more nimble, the iX3 leans over less and feels more agile than the e-tron, I-Pace and EQC. That makes it one of the most enjoyable electric SUVs to drive. Filling a car with heavy batteries rarely does good things to ride comfort, but the iX3 does without the sophisticated air suspension of its main rivals. The e-tron and the EQC have it as standard, the I-Pace as an option. Instead, it relies on good old steel springs. You can adjust the stiffness of the suspension, tightening things up for country road driving or something them for long motorway zones. It's firmer than the wafty e-tron and I-Pace, but deals with bumps in a perfectly agreeable manner, both around town and on faster roads. In fact, anyone who suffers from car sickness may prefer the iX3's well-tied down feel. You get a bit more tire and suspension noise than you do with its main rivals, but anyone coming up from a petrol or diesel BMW X3 will be pleasantly surprised. The electric motor is quiet unless Herr Zimmer's work has been activated, and you won't feel the vibration of an engine either. While Audi and Mercedes, of course, make electric crossovers of extreme smoothness and quietness, they tried hard to make the e-tron and EQC feel normal to drive. But they blew it by making them supernormally fast. Not here. The iX3 is almost ridiculously normal. The power comes in with urgency, sure, but it's never brutal. Even when you mash the pedal, there is only 282 horsepower and 295 feet of torque, shifting over 2.2 tons, remember. Still, the iX3 keeps on going determinedly and with the usual seamless pure electric smoothness up to its 180 km an hour limit. An automatic regeneration system takes signals from the sat nav for upcoming junctions, tight bends and speed limits, and the radar sensors for traffic speeds in front. When you lift, it's all set at a regeneration level to try to slow you smoothly towards the new target speed. If you lift early, it will let you coast efficiently. Where fixed level regeneration will slow you down too much, then you will be pointlessly back on the power. This system means lifting off has different effects in different circumstances, which is odd until you have learned to trust it, but really rather impressive once you do. Mercedes and Kia EVs have similarly gadgetry. Top specification Pro versions come with an in-cabin sound regeneration, an electronic hum that rises and falls in pitch as you change speed and in volume as you press the pedal harder or click the button for sport mode. Ease off and it sinks back to silence. It's one of the most pleasant EV sound systems out there. It might be a classically rear-wheel drive BMW, but you rarely feel the rear wheels get frisky. Any latent oversteer is anticipated by a combination of traction control and surprisingly wide and grippy tires. In fact, the four-wheel drive Jaguar I-Pace cornering is a fair bit more playable. Still, the iX3 is superbly easy and relaxing to make progress in. The accurate steering might not have much feel, but it weights up naturally and its response is agreeably progressive. It's also stable driving straight on motorways. BMW's lane keeping assist system is smooth and tenacious these days, but you won't need it. Worth noting that the rear-wheel drive setup also means that the iX3 has an impressively tight turning circle of only 3 turns. The balance between roll and suppleness is also well calibrated, and even on potted Brit roads and 20-inch aero wheels, the ride is decently supple. The dampers are adaptive as standard. Anyway, the main thing is its efficient, especially since you are unlikely to be tempted out of Eco-Pro mode. Even when you are not hanging about, you should manage around 350 kilometers on a full charge, or a Jaguar, Audi and Mercedes beating figure of 5 kilometers per kilowatt hour. apart from the electric drive, the iX3 is actually a classic X3 with all the advantages and disadvantages. It offers plenty of space and comfort, safe driving characteristics, many tech assistance and much more range than its competitors, except Tesla of course. Although it is made in China, still remains expensive. The tested version is a bit more than 70,000 euros. But we must see that it is very well equipped and that isn't actually much more expensive than its conventional X3 brothers with combustion engines. Thanks for watching. I'll catch you in the next one.